was a version of All the Pretty Little Horses. That is specifically in the key of E minor, but I mixed things up a bit there. In keeping with the last few videos, specifically I guess the most recent one where I talked about using the harmonic minor scale to generate diatonic seventh chords, there are some of those in this, and there are also, continuing what I did a few videos before that, some secondary dominant seven and I guess diminished chord. And those are used to kind of slide around a bit between the chords that are diatonic to the key. And as I said before, much in the way that seventh chords begin to add some colors to otherwise basic triads, these additional chords that I've used in this song actually give you a whole new sense of how to hear it. I know that sounds weird to say, or to hear I should say, weird to say but also hear. The idea is that they're adding something that's allowing you momentarily to lose perspective on the key you're in. So I mentioned this is in the key of E minor, but toward the second phrase where I begin measure 5 of this. And again, there's a PDF, I should mention, linked in the description. So if you want to go over that, you can. It's easier to see that way for sure. But beginning in measure 5 of this arrangement, I take the E minor chord to start with, and then I immediately move through some changes which are very akin to the kinds of substitutions you find in jazz songs. In this case, I'm employing some half diminished chords, some major 9, some augmented chords, and just actually, now that I look, a minor 11th chord. Again, these are chords that use the 7th, but also some extensions beyond the 7th, in the case of the 11th chord, to generate sounds which add to the basic triad, basic 7th chord really, and to make things a little more interesting as you move from one measure to the next. The melody, which if you look at the PDF you'll see is highlighted in red, is there. In fact, it's pretty much the top voice almost in every measure, with maybe just a couple of exceptions. So the melody is there, and it appears the same way as it does in the folk tune, but it's specifically beginning in measure 5 through 8 there. And then as we head out towards the end, the second to last measure, I move some other chords around in such a way that I create voice leading that is deceptive. That is to say, it sounds like maybe it's going one way when in fact it's moving another. And that really is the neat thing about working with 7th chord harmony, or any extended harmony beyond that, the other numbers that I've mentioned. The point is you can all of a sudden start to fill out the chords, the space I should say, between the chords and the melody in more interesting ways. We'll talk more specifically about the kinds of secondary stuff that I did here, as well as in the previous video, I think it was My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, in future videos coming up, because we're going to be talking more about progressions and how we move through standard progressions and how we can make those progressions sound a little more interesting by doing the kinds of things that are contained here and in that other song that I just referenced. So for now, go ahead and look over this PDF, and hopefully you'll have some fun giving this a try if you're downloading these and looking at them. Again, the measures 5 through 8 are really where I experiment a little. Measures 1 through 4 are much more of a traditional approach to playing this, utilizing mostly just those triads that you would expect to hear in the key of E minor. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time.